Welcome, everyone. Happy Wednesday, and welcome to our monthly meeting. Let me start by asking, are there any new people who would like to introduce themselves?
I'm new. I'd love to introduce myself. My name is Maria Rabino, and I am one of the newest board members of Housing Resource Center of Monterey County. My goal is to work on communication and outreach and community support in building that. So I just wanted to say hello and meet you all, and it's nice to meet you all.
Well, hello, Maria, and welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Marisa Kobolinsky about Retail Limited. Two things I'd like to say is we have a part-time women's monitor that's every other week, $17 an hour, like 15 to 20 hours a week. Might be a good fit for some people who need a little extra money, and we could use a little extra help. And secondly is we are trying to get our people on cars, but we don't have that ability. We know that for the women, we can use the gathering, but we can't find any place on the peninsula, this is i.e. not Salinas, that males, which is double our, can get onto cars. So I'm asking the coalition, who is it? I thought it was Salvation Army, but if they aren't, I know vets, but these are people that aren't vets. So just put that question out there.
So I'll answer. I'll give you one answer. You can bring them over to Community Homeless Solutions in Marina, and we can do the CARS assessments there.
Community Homeless Solutions.
Yeah, you can look us up on the website.
Mm-hmm. Well, we did look it up on the website to try to find it under CARS and the coalition, and it wasn't listed. So.
Okay. Well, maybe Katrina, you can look into that, please.
Yeah, I'm looking right now.
That's wonderful information. Great.
Glad we could help.
Hi, Wes White, Salinas Monterey County Homeless Union co-president, along with Rita Acosta, who just got a Human Rights Award for organized camp. And that's kind of hopefully will be the direction we're still pushing, especially pre-sweep, pre-notice, because a lot of those things happen without notice. And I guess I just wanted to say that the Poor People's Campaign asked me to start the Salinas Monterey County Homeless Union back in 2016. So this Martin Luther King Jr. Day, we will be 9 years old, which means in 2026 we'll be 10 years old. And the Poor People's Campaign is going to come, the National Union of the Homeless, they're going to come to Salinas. We're going to have a national presence. There was a lived experience leadership conference in San Jose in November, and we're looking to try to do a few-day conference with homeless union members and lived experience boards. It ought to be pretty exciting. Gosh, this is the road to hoe for me. If things work well, then I'll be a colleague of yours as a career individual getting paid to do this, because as far now it's all been for free, but it's been out of love of the cause of saving people's lives. And hopefully that is what's resonating with our policies going forward when we speak with our electeds and administrations throughout all the jurisdictions, because nobody wants somebody else's problem become their problem. And the only way that that's going to happen is to solve the problems within our own jurisdictions, which means giving people an address and stopping the sweeps, identify people as harmless, not homeless, especially if they're signing up for services, and, let them grow. Let's see it happen, because quality and quantity of life needs to improve.
Well, then we'll go to my comment. And what I'd like to say, really, to all of you is thank you. I've had the opportunity as board president to get to know more of you and get to know your organizations and agencies and what you do, and that's been a wonderful experience. And I know that your work is hard. I know that you don't always get a thank you, and sometimes that thank you can be few and far between. I just wanted to take this minute here and say thank you. Thank you from me, not only as board president, but me as a citizen of this area we live in. So go ahead and move to the CHSP updates. Katrina.
First of all, Happy New Year, everybody. We're really excited to be back in the office. After a long break, we're in full action for 2025, and we have opened up recruitment for our administrative coordinator position that has been open since October. So that is out, hoping to have someone in by the end of the month. Our 2024 Monterey County Gift Campaign closed, and CHSP was able to raise $22,000 for our Leave Me Home Plan effort. This funding stream will also help fund lead activities along other Leave Me Home Plan initiatives. This is the most CHSP has ever raised in my 10 years here at the coalition, and that's really attributed to CHSP's staff, marketing and development efforts, and our 91 donors. So if you were one of them, thank you so much for donating and looking out for the coalition and helping us raise these funds. I'm going to pass it over to Nicole for our LSA update.
Good morning, everyone. So we do have a bit of a data update. We were able to submit our LSA. We thought we were going to need an extension, but thank you to everybody for putting in the hard work, rolling up your sleeves, and getting that data cleaned up. We really, really appreciate it. We were able to submit on time. And so now it's under HUD review, and we go a little bit back and forth. They kind of ask us questions about, it might be like why you had a lower inventory count than you expected, and it can be, things like we had ended up closing certain programs, opening others. So we'll be under HUD review with that, and we'll be sure to let folks know what's going on once that full review is complete, and then we'll be able to give you a more thorough understanding and just like presentation of the LSA. But upcoming right now, very exciting, is our 2025 housing inventory count. And this is a very important count because this is telling HUD what we have for the year. So Oliver is working very hard on getting materials, and that's like workflows with pictures and things like that, so that folks can follow along as easily as possible. We will be hosting a live training on the 27th at 9 a.m. and those invites will go out by noon today. And we'll be recording that training, and we'll be posting it on YouTube. So we're making as many resources as possible available to folks. The day of the count is January 29th, so that is the day that folks should be using when you respond to the survey. And there is a deadline to submit to CHSP by February 3rd. So after the materials get sent out, feel free to start sending help desk tickets. Instead of a regular paper Word document this year, we have put it into a Google form. So hopefully it's much smoother, it's more streamlined. And then if there are questions, you won't be able to skip certain questions. So we're just making sure to either attend the live training, use the materials that will be posted on the website, and then also please make sure to submit your help desk ticket, and CHSP staff will be there to help you fill out whatever it is whatever questions you have for it. This housing inventory count is something that will then lead into our next year's LSA, so we want to try as much as possible to make sure we're getting an accurate inventory of the programs in our county. And making sure that if it's one program, like for example, Share Center should only have one, right? Even though they have multiple funding streams, if it's just one program, we want one housing inventory count. We will be available, like we said, for questions and things like that. So please reach out to us if there's anything that you need. We have started our COC youth mini monitoring. We are starting with youth because it is a smaller cohort, and we want to make sure that this is something that will benefit the community. So Danny and Denise will be reaching out to your organizations. They've already had 2 meetings, and what we do is we run various data quality reports. We go over them with you, make sure you know how to run the reports yourself, especially as agency admins, so that you can stay on top of your data. And what we are also doing is grabbing a more thorough report from a data quality tool that HUD has created, and it gives you like very gives you the details of like which program, which client it is that maybe has a duplicate entry. So those are some things that we're starting already. So if you haven't heard from us, please be on the lookout for the emails from Danny and Denise. And if you have any questions about that, just let us know. It's really just to help the community and the coalition stay on top of data, so that when things like the LSA come around, there's less of that back and forth with errors and things like that. Once we kind of get some feedback about how it went with the youth programs, we will be expanding to all programs that the coalition funds, including HHAP and COC, just to stay on top of our data, not in any sort of punitive way, but really just to make sure we're all on the same page with that, and we're answering questions as they come up, so that we're not letting data errors continue long past the time that they could be fixed.
So we're going to go into our encampment sweep response solution set. This is something that the coalition has been working on with you all for the past couple months. And here's an update of kind of where we're at and where we're moving. So for those of you who are new to hearing about this, our goal is to increase communication and collaboration across agencies and local governments with the coalition to optimize our help for those who become displaced. So really being responsive to the sweeps as they come, and getting notified and doing outreach prior to the sweep taking place. So the coalition's role in this is to coordinate advanced communication with partners. So building up that rapport with partners and ensuring that we are getting advanced notifications from them, and then to you, to our service provider network, to do the outreach for those encampments. We've talked about this in prior meetings, but we've established some work groups, and the coalition will support and oversee those work groups, and then collect and analyze that data from the sweeps to report out to you all and the community. So let's talk about these work groups a little more. Within the solution set, there are 5 functions or modules, we like to call them, that we'll be focusing on to develop how to make each module function more effectively. So we're looking here at outreach, shelter availability systems, emergency response, shelter response, permanent housing, and that advanced notice and communication. We're seeking professionals like yourself to volunteer in each category that are committed to setting aside individual and organizational agendas to collaboratively develop a community-driven recommendation. Our goal is to address the challenges associated with encampment sweeps and the service delivery, while prioritizing the needs and well-being of the unhoused community as dedicated members of the coalition. So to give you a little more insight on the work groups, let's talk about the roles of these work groups. So we'd like these work groups to start identifying the needs and gaps of each set, recommend solution strategies, recommend measurable deliverables, recommend coordinated implementation plans, and then help develop a recommended mechanism for ongoing monitoring of these solution sets performances. And then recommend collaboration and communication strategies. So we'd like to open this up and get 3 to 4 volunteers for each work group to achieve a greater level of collaboration within our community to accelerate these work groups. So if you have a high interest in any particular work group, or you're a direct service provider for that, we'd like to meet with you, and you can drop it in the chat. You can send us an email, and let's start working on this solution set. So we sent it out, our draft solution set to you all, so I hope you were able to check it out. We can talk about our timeline. It is a bit aggressive. We're looking to have a work group orientation in the next couple weeks, and then start launching those work groups in January. Going into February, we'd like for each solution set design module to be completed, and then go into March with the policy and procedure development. Keeping in mind, we really want to align our solution set with the County of Monterey's encampment response and San Benito County's encampment response. So we're also still waiting to hear back for the final draft of those two policies. Hoping that, we'll have all of that go into April with the implementation of really activating our community-wide effort in responding to encampment sweeps in an accelerated rate. And then hoping to move into April and start reviewing the data from that and report out to you all.
I'd like to add one thing, if I may. I think the whole concept of acceleration is really a big key here. That to make this whole thing, this whole solution work better and to enhance collaboration, we have to find ways to accelerate the processes, not only within each of those modules, but between those modules. And so communication is obviously very important. So it's a very, very important thing we're doing here, and just encourage participation.
Yes, Roxanne dropped in the chat that Monterey County's policy is slated to go to the Board of Supervisors by the end of this month. So hopefully that goes through and we can start incorporating some of that into our set. And then, Enrique, were you guys able to finalize your guys' policy yet?
No, not yet. I know the committee went to the board early last month, and I believe they asked to come back in February, but I'm not certain. So it still has to go back for additional discussion. But we will be in touch when that happens.
Yeah. I mean, we know this is really complicated work and involves many moving parts. So just keep us in the loop, and we want to make sure that we're not doing anything that's not in alignment with our two counties.
Between those two counties, I mean, San Benito County has a no sit, no lie, automatic arrest. So I'm wondering how that really, resonates or, goes in harmony with what Monterey County is trying to do. Because just driving people out and arresting them and then coming back and all their things are gone. I'm not sure how that really improves the quality of life for anybody.
As I mentioned in the chat, we are scheduled to go to the board the very last Tuesday of this month. But as we're trying to go through our bureaucratic process, it may get kicked to the next month. Excuse me. I think that to your point, Greg, it is about how fast you can move. That is a real thing. I also wanted to just note that the governor in his last presentation had made it pretty clear that communities that don't have an encampment policy are likely not going to be eligible to pursue encampment resolution funding. So that is just something I wanted to put out there for those who feel like the county shouldn't do this. I think that there definitely is a need. And my approach, and I'm trying, Wes, you were there, you saw it, I'm trying to find that middle ground of really understanding the balance between the people who are doing all of the complaints, the business owners, the landowners, all of those folks, and the people who are experiencing homelessness, understanding our lack of services in our community. But to that end, as the chair of the Monitoring and Evaluations Committee, I do encourage all organizations to really fill all of your beds. We've been looking a lot at the number of empty beds across the board, and I just don't think it's a good look. It's very cold outside. And with both of the counties moving forward with putting some sort of encampment protocols together, it's really important that we don't allow beds to sit open. Thank you.
Going back to the solution set, it's like speaking to Roxanne's point on making sure our beds are filled. You know, there is that working group for that, and it's the shelter availability system group. And I would really encourage you all, some of you, somebody, please join these work groups so that we can get this work done. You know, the executive order was dropped in August of last year, and it's now January, and we really need to solidify a response, even outside of the counties right now, as a coalition, as a service provider network, to respond to this. Our mission is to the unhoused and meeting them where they're at and utilizing our teams and resources to get them into shelter and doing that outreach and partnering up with our government to eliminate these encampment sweeps before they happen. So if we have beds open, if you know we have the capacity to take in clients, let's do it.
So it's just sharing something that the County of Monterey and Community Action Partnership is working on now. It's the Community Needs Assessment for the CSPG grant for next round. It's $500,000, and we've gone throughout the different districts within the county and the community to get the community feedback on how they think the money should be distributed. So if you're not aware, I can email you information so you could share and also do the survey yourself, because your input and the scope that you see things with is important for the state to know on how you think these funds should be allocated. So, like I said, if you haven't filled it out yourself, or if you know someone that could share their input, I do have a flyer with QR codes or the actual link itself that I can share. So, thank you.
I know that from our perspective at Community Homeless Solutions, there is increasing demand for the beds that have been available, and our shelters are, for the most part, pretty booked up. So, you know, we're at a very healthy point, I think. And I think part of that is the weather, and part of that is the sweeps, and who knows what else is contributing. But the people who are doing outreach, I think, are doing a good job of pointing people toward the shelters. So, you know, I want to give them a lot of the credit here.
An element that we haven't really seen much is mitigating the sweep altogether, or at least I haven't seen it as much of a high priority. I do know that as the homeless union around the county, we've had plenty of successful models. I suppose I'm thinking in Casantini, when CSUMB and City of Salinas both acquiesce, I suppose, to a dumpster and helping to remove debris, which mitigated a sweep. And I think that should be a higher priority on our encampment resolution set, rather than, you know, just like, oh, there's a sweep, let's go be reactive. I mean, I think if we had some minimal health and safety standards that people could observably maintain, then that should grant them a pass, and that's what I mean by giving them an address and a little bit of real property. It's not that they're homeless; they have a home. Their home gets took from them because they don't have any real property to put it on. So if we could do 400 square feet in a structure, you know, 20 feet by 20 feet, that's not much land at all.
Good comments, good discussion. Any others? Well, I think that is it this time. Thank you all very much, and I'll ask the board to come back in 10 minutes.